Have you ever wondered why, despite eating well, exercising regularly, and maintaining healthy habits, you feel a weakening in your legs? Why do stairs seem to be getting steeper? Why does it take longer now than before to get up from a chair? Is it merely a consequence of aging, or is there another element that's damaging you imperceptibly? You might be surprised by the answer. It's not always about what you're not doing, but something you're already doing without realizing its harmful effects. The majority of elderly people make a silent mistake daily, doing so with absolute conviction they're acting correctly, since throughout their lives they've learned that fruit represents a healthy, natural, and beneficial food, and certainly, most of it is. However, here's the truth that nobody mentions: not all fruits are suitable for older people. In reality, some fruits we consume weekly without questioning can progressively reduce leg strength, cause knee pain, intensify joint inflammation, and complicate walking. Those fruits advertised as healthy might actually be harmful to your mobility, balance, and muscular vigor in your lower limbs. Consider that as age advances, our body undergoes transformations, blood circulation decreases, metabolism slows down, and foods that previously benefited us can subtly begin to harm us, especially certain fruits. They might appear harmless and have a pleasant taste, yet they contain numerous acids, carbohydrates, and other components that affect blood sugar levels, cause joint inflammation, and weaken legs. The most concerning aspect? The damage occurs gradually, imperceptibly, and undetectably, until one day you feel an acute pain in your calves, persistent discomfort in your thigh, or strange stiffness in your knees after a simple walk. Today we'll reveal the 7 most harmful fruits that anyone over 60 should avoid, particularly if you wish to protect your legs from permanent damage, pain, and strength deterioration. Despite their apparent harmlessness, none of these fruits is risk-free. You'll never look at your fruit plate the same way after learning this truth. Therefore, follow me to the conclusion. If you care about your physical strength and want to maintain stable, robust, and pain-free legs, your body might be waiting precisely for this awakening. But wait a moment before continuing. Click the subscription button and activate notifications if your health matters to you, because this is where we reveal truths nobody talks about. I want to know if you're following, if you're watching now. If this film engages you, write 1 in the comments. Otherwise, write 0. You can't imagine how significant your opinion is. Let's begin by examining the first fruit on our list. It's praised for its ability to combat inflammation. Nevertheless, it might produce the opposite effect in elderly people. Let's talk about pineapple. Pineapple, the first fruit, and the discreet information gatherer. A fruit from tropical climates. Juicy, invigorating, and thanks to a substance called bromelain, it has been celebrated for years as a natural anti-inflammatory. Here's the surprise, though. Although many believe pineapple reduces inflammation, it might represent the silent cause of problems in the elderly. You should know that pineapple contains potent acids and natural sugars. Moreover, these sugars aren't as harmless as they might seem, especially after age 60. Let me explain. Our blood vessels become more fragile and reactive with age. They no longer respond to sugar increases as before. Despite its benefits, pineapple introduces a substantial amount of natural sugar into the blood. What's the consequence? It causes a rapid rise in blood sugar. The small blood vessels that supply legs, feet, and muscles might sustain damage due to this spike. With progressive deterioration of circulation, less oxygen reaches your legs, and you know what that leads to? Pain, exhaustion, swelling after short walks, that dull and persistent discomfort in your legs, stiffness in your knees when standing, sudden pain in your ankles, even after an entire sedentary day. There's more. Pineapple is acidic. Besides being sweet, that acidity can irritate joints, especially in the presence of pre-existing inflammation or arthritis. It fuels like combustible the burning already present in ankles, hips, and knees. Some even notice a sensation of heaviness in their legs after consuming pineapple, as if strength were gradually diminishing. You must also be aware of another aspect. If you take medications, particularly anticoagulants, The known enzyme bromelain can interact with certain medicines, altering their efficacy in excess or deficiency. The most dangerous element, however, is this: pineapple doesn't present significant evident side effects. It doesn't cause obvious symptoms or immediate pain. Rather, it acts insidiously until you realize you can no longer move as you once could. The saddest aspect? The majority of elderly people ignore that the fruit consumed for health reasons can contribute to the annual weakening felt in their legs. What can you do then? It's not necessary to completely avoid pineapple. However, you must inform yourself and speak about it adequately, especially if you suffer from persistent leg pain or unexplainable swelling. The damage is imperceptible but concrete. Now, if even a fruit with anti-inflammatory properties like pineapple can be so harmful to aging legs, what about the next one? It's soft, delicious, and renowned for increasing muscle power and potassium levels. However, it might deceive you. Let's talk about bananas. Bananas, the muscle imposter, soft, sweet, and rich in potassium. They represent an excellent food. They're believed to provide energy, prevent cramps, and benefit muscles. However, the situation changes for the elderly. Bananas abound in natural sugar and rapidly digesting carbohydrates. This means that immediately after ingestion, blood sugar levels increase and the body begins to resist insulin. When this happens frequently, blood flow weakens. Inflammation increases. Your legs suffer as a result. You might feel a dull pain while walking or climbing stairs, heaviness in your legs after meals, and tension in your calves. The story doesn't end there. Additionally, bananas favor water retention, especially in the presence of heart problems, causing joint rigidity, swollen feet, and ankles. The effect is imperceptible. You believe they'll help your muscles, so you consume them, but in reality, they might be gradually reducing your strength. The worst comes later. It won't hit you immediately. However, over time, banana consumption might complicate movements and intensify pain. Evaluate the fruits on your plate. If you frequently experience heavy, aching, or swollen legs, bananas might not be as beneficial as they initially appear. And if even a smaller element could cause such effects? Bananas are known for supporting muscles, small, charming, and innocent looking, yet they can cause joint burning. Let's talk about grapes, the third fruit. Grapes, small fruit with a significant inflammatory effect. They appear innocent, minute, juicy, easy to consume as a snack. They also enjoy an excellent reputation, heart healthy, rich in antioxidants. However, the majority of people ignore this fact. Elderly individuals can experience mild leg pain, stiffness, and inflammation when consuming grapes. Why? Because grapes contain fructose, a potentially harmful substance in high concentrations, a sugar directly absorbed by the liver that transforms into fat and uric acid when the organ can't process it completely. The actual damage begins then, particularly in the toes, ankles, and knees. Uric acid accumulates in the joints, causing intermittent pain with burning and swelling, that persistent discomfort that complicates even light walking. Have you ever experienced that penetrating pain in your big toe during the night? That unexpected stiffness in your calves? It might derive from something apparently insignificant like a bunch of grapes that increases your uric acid. Furthermore, that's not all. Chronic inflammation in your body is also fueled by fructose. This implies slower movements, greater pressure, and stiffness. Grapes are also too easy to consume in excess. The berries are small enough to nibble effortlessly, not heavy. Before you realize it, you'll have consumed 2 or 3 cups, and sugar accumulates rapidly. Therefore, although grapes might appear as a nutritious snack, they could subtly weaken, decrease flexibility, and make your legs less comfortable as age advances. Now you know what might be hiding behind that sweetness. If you've eaten grapes regularly and have noticed an increase in stiffness and swelling. However, there are other delicious fruits potentially harmful besides grapes. Another is juicy, vibrant, and famous for its hydrating capacity. Don't be deceived, though. Internally it acts like sugar, despite its watery taste. Let's talk about watermelon. The fourth fruit is watermelon, the false hydrator. light, revitalizing, symbol of hydration and summer. Is it possible that this watery fruit silently damages your legs? It seems strange since everyone agrees that watermelon represents an excellent method to stay hydrated. It seems safe, has few calories, and is primarily composed of water. Here's the secret, though: watermelon's glycemic index is extremely high. This means it rapidly increases blood sugar levels, just like sweets. Additionally, the elderly suffer significant damage from these frequent glycemic peaks, particularly in the legs. Let's analyze it. The body releases insulin when blood sugar levels increase rapidly. However, in aging bodies, insulin is poorly regulated. Inflammation derives from this, particularly in areas with inadequate circulation. Where does it manifest? In your calf, ankles, knees? Leg fatigue can occur immediately after eating, a dull pain during brief walks, that strange, persistent swelling around your ankles. Climbing stairs begins to feel like scaling a mountain. Watermelon presents a light consistency internally, yet it acts like an attractive trap, delicately wearing down your legs. Many consume it abundantly because it's juicy and refreshing. A single slice becomes 2, then 3. Add more sugar, more stress, greater inflammation. It's deceptive. You believe you're drinking water while your blood sugar increases. Meanwhile, your circulation encounters difficulties and your legs suffer. Does watermelon truly help the elderly stay hydrated, or does each bite insensibly increase discomfort in movement? It might be time to reconsider if the watermelon on your plate is unpredictable, and your legs appear more tired lately. Let's move to a fruit associated with vitamin C and healthy juices, immunity-boosting beverages and breakfasts. Everyone includes it. The elderly, however, can experience an acid attack on their joints. Let's talk about oranges. Oranges represent the fifth fruit, the acid attack on joints. They're intelligent, emanate a fresh aroma, and are found everywhere: juices, health supplements, and breakfast trays. They're believed to increase immunity thanks to vitamin C. However, oranges might hide an unpleasant reality for the elderly, particularly those over 60. Acid, disliked by your joints, hides behind that citrusy glow. Citrus abounds in oranges. Although it might seem normal, this can cause silent joint irritation, particularly if the body is already fighting inflammation, stiffness, or arthritis. Upon waking, you might experience a gradual stiffness in your knees, persistent hip pain, that uncomfortable sensation in your legs after remaining seated for long, reduced mobility, and increased swelling. You might attribute it simply to aging. However, that healthy habit of drinking orange juice every morning might contribute to the very pain you're trying to prevent. Here's what actually happens. The citric acid in oranges produces effects beyond the stomach, enters the bloodstream, and can exacerbate the delicate tissues of your joints. Additionally, it causes glycemic fluctuations when combined with the fruit's natural sugar. And what's the result? Widespread inflammation in the body. Each step seems slightly heavier and more painful due to inflammation that propagates to knees, ankles, and calves. Consider that oranges might not be harmful to a younger individual. However, the effect develops imperceptibly in an elderly person with aging joints and slowed circulation. The most complex aspect is that you act convinced you're promoting your health, since oranges are traditionally associated with wellness. However, now you know they might not benefit your health. What follows? The next fruit presents an orderly appearance, green, crisp, and with lower sugar content. People consider it the safe option. However, it hides something that can cause nighttime cramps, tense knees, and painful hips. Now let's talk about green apples. Green apples, the sixth fruit, represent a secret cause of leg pain. They appear crisp, clean, and organic. Additionally, the majority of people, especially the elderly, consider them the healthier option because they have a less sweet taste. They seem like a healthy, low-sugar snack. However, many ignore this fact. Green apples might subtly cause fatigue, stiffness, and leg pain. Malic acid and hidden natural sugar constitute the two threatening elements. First, let's talk about malic acid, responsible for the sour taste of green apples. It can be unpleasant for senile digestion, despite being excellent for young people. The intestinal lining becomes more sensitive with age. Additionally, once entered into the body after apple consumption, malic acid can irritate tissues, including joints. Some elderly individuals feel intense pain in the hip or thigh. Others experience a mild heat in the feet or tension in the knees. It takes time to manifest, but as days pass, acid accumulates and pain increases in frequency. Let's now talk about sugar. Green apples still contain natural sugars, despite not being as sweet as red apples. Additionally, that sugar causes glycemic oscillations in elderly people with slowed metabolism. Your calves might fatigue, your legs might present nighttime cramps, you might experience morning stiffness or weakness climbing stairs. The most problematic aspect is that green apples are often consumed raw as a snack or even shortly before bedtime. Consequently, the body constantly undergoes their influence. They seem very healthy and pure. However, green apples might insensibly complicate walking, stiffen joints, and make evenings more agitated for aging bodies. And a tropical, rich, and extremely sweet fruit that can produce this effect, if such a basic fruit can do it? Let's talk about the real sugar bomb, beloved by many, mango. Mango, the seventh fruit, represents a sugar explosion for your joints. Juicy, soft, and sweet as candy. Almost everyone appreciates this fruit, particularly during summer months. Here's the truth, though, mango might be the most harmful fruit for the elderly with joint weakness and leg pain. Why? Because it contains high quantities of natural sugar. I'm not referring to small amounts, but to a significant sugar impact that will sharply and rapidly increase your glycemia. The body can generally manage that increase if you're active and under 30. However, metabolism changes after age 60. That sugar concentration causes an insulin peak followed by a drop. Every time this happens, the body produces deep inflammation in the joints, particularly in the soft tissue surrounding ankles, hips, and knees, especially in the presence of nerve problems. You might experience a burning sensation in your toes, persistent tingling, evening swelling around your feet, or increasing heaviness in your legs. Since mango has a light taste, seems fresh, and doesn't appear a substantial meal, it's easy to consume larger portions, aggravating the situation. Here's the trick, though: the sensation of lightness has no relevance for the body, which reacts to sugar. Additionally, over time, that sugar can cause joint pain, slowed walking, and instability in the legs. Many elderly consume mango considering it a natural delight, and it is. However, natural doesn't always equate to safe for weakened circulation and senile joints. You've observed the overall picture. Despite being celebrated for their health benefits, 7 fruits present a negative aspect for people over 60. Here's the good news, though: some fruits produce the opposite effect. They favor strong and robust legs, alleviate joint pain, and counter inflammation. Now let's talk about these, the therapeutic alternatives, and what the elderly should consume instead. Let's move to what you can eat now that you know which fruits to avoid, since consuming adequate fruits not only satisfies appetite but heals your body. First, let's talk about berries: blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, and so on. These small fruits constitute powerful anti-inflammatory agents, have a mild impact on blood sugar, abound in antioxidants, and contain little sugar. Above all, they improve circulation, particularly in the legs, favor facilitated mobility, counter stiffness, and reduce edema. Cherries follow, but in moderation. Effectively, cherries can contribute to reducing uric acid, decreasing the probability of gout and joint pain exacerbations. They alleviate painful joints and the burning sensation in knees or toes. A handful of cherries, not in abundance, can provide significant relief. Avocado follows. It's truly a fruit, and it's also among the best for healthy joints. Why? Because it contains numerous beneficial fats that reduce internal inflammation and cushion joints. Additionally, it contributes to insulin regulation, providing constant energy without glycemic oscillations. Are you looking for something easily digestible? Try papaya. The enzymes present in this tender tropical fruit help reduce inflammation and facilitate digestion. It's gentle on senile joints and on the stomach. Additionally, remember to consume pears with a small amount of fiber or protein. They provide a subtle sweetness without being excessively sugary, supply energy to the body without exerting undue pressure on the legs. Instead of countering your body, each of these fruits supports it. They don't cause discomfort or swelling, but help the body achieve the balance of vigor, time, and serenity it seeks. It's not just about consuming fruit. Remember, everything reduces to selecting adequate fruits for your age, appropriate for your current body, and you begin to perceive it when you consciously make such choices: firmer steps, calmer movements, and clearer mornings. Let's conclude with some final observations, words of wisdom, and a message specifically for you. One element suggests to me that, if you've read to this point, you're concerned about your future, your strength, and your health. I want you to clearly understand this. It's not too late to change. You still have time to recover, and you're not the only ones experiencing this condition. Aging proves difficult. Pain, stiffness, and fear of falling present gradually and can occasionally give you the impression that your body is vanishing. Here's the reality, though: you can take control by making sensible and moderate modifications, rather than adopting extreme measures, one meal, one fruit, and one decision at a time. Although the fruits discussed today aren't harmful, they might no longer be optimal for your health, and that's okay, since aging doesn't mean surrendering but becoming wiser. You'll notice a difference when you begin to eat consciously and select foods that favor strength, circulation, and joints. Less discomfort, greater flexibility, more serene mornings, and lighter steps. This is the objective of this sharing, not to generate fear or limitations. Now I'd like to hear your opinion. Share in the comments what you've learned today and what change you're ready to make. Since we all grow by sharing, let's help each other. Click the like button if this video has been useful to you or if it has even minimally opened your eyes. Subscribe not to neglect any information that could modify your health. Activate the bell before concluding. Enter 1 if this video has been useful to you, otherwise type 0. You might underestimate the importance of your comment. Maintain resilience and attention, and never forget that your independence depends on your legs. Take care of them.